afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, or if I say young men and women, because I see more youngsters here than not. And I'm going to share with you a story of financial brands. In 1991, before most of you were born, I joined an agency called Ogilvy and Mather, which you may have heard of. It was and yet remains the largest advertising agency in the country. And I set up what was then called a financial practice for them. No one had heard of financial brands at that time. No one knew what's a financial practice because at that time the order of the day were IPOs of public issues. So there used to be daily advertisements of public issues, big ads with such small text. No one read it, no one remembered it, but they were advertising and spending a lot of money. So I remember one evening a WPP person, WPP you know is Sir Martin Sorrell's company, the largest advertising and marketing company in the world. One of them came and met me and said, "ये तुम क्या लोगों को बोलते हो financial brands? ये financial brands क्या है?" Now 1991 is when people asked, what are financial brands? And since then, all of you know that financial brands is one of the largest spending categories in the country. And today, the fact that we are here at the Pitch BFSI Marketing Summit and Awards, the first of its kind, is a recognition for where financial brands have come over the years. My embarrassment is that I'm talking to practitioners of financial brands. I'm talking to believers. I'm talking to people who build financial brands. This is all of you. So I thought, let me just talk to you in your language. In the financial services advertising, you know, you have to have an asterisk, right? Any of you who've not had an asterisk, I'd love to meet you after this meeting, but all our ads have to have asterisks, risk factors. So therefore, the risk factor for all of you is that this is only my story, it's only my observations, it's my experience, my learnings, which could, and I'm sure will be very different from yours, but I'd love to hear yours as much as today I'm happy to share mine. I started in 1986, I think. I worked for about 36 years, as I said, more than all of you put together, your common age out here, with Ernst & Young, a consulting firm. Then I moved to Ogilvy and Mather, which I told you I set up their financial practice. I stayed there for 15 years, including looking after their public relations business. I then moved from there to Reliance Capital, which is the brand from the Reliance group of companies in financial services at that time. And then I found home at Aditya Birla Group, where the birth of Aditya Birla Capital, and it's a very different brand. Some of you may have noticed. I may talk about it later. And I stayed there for 15 years. So if you notice, most of my career has been in and around financial services. So that's why someone out here thought that, well, let's call the man who's seen it all, and possibly we'll talk about the past while y'all are guys who are going to take it into the future. Last year, I turned sweet 60, which is a retirement age. So I retired from my first innings of work, and I retired from financial services. So therefore, anything I say today can't be held against me because I'm not in the financial service industry. So you can only expect some candidness from me. I started in 1991, and today we are in 2023. If I ask any of you in this room or people outside this room, what business are we in? There's a good chance you may hear these words. Like this conference itself, you may hear the word BFSI, which is banking and financial services and insurance. I don't understand that because isn't financial services covering banking and insurance? But that's a term we use. If you go and ask a certain segment of people, they may say we are in the life insurance business. Some people may say we are in the mutual fund business. Some people may say that we are in the health insurance business. Some people may say we are in the NBFC business. Our industry is categorized by verticals. Some of us, like for example, Vaidyanathan out here earlier came and even talked to us about banking. But since we are marketeers, let's take a closer look from the view of the consumer, who actually we represent. We don't represent our industry, right? We should actually be representing the consumer. That's the role of a marketer. So let's take a look from him. And over the years, you would have seen that when somebody said life insurance, these could have been some of the brands they saw or noticed, possibly remembered. If you said mutual fund, logos, and more logos. Health insurance, most logos. Banks, lots of logos. So research always showed me, and I'm sure as users of this industry, you may have a view, that if you ask a customer about financial services, he doesn't see bank, mutual fund, life insurance. He doesn't see Hindu, Muslim, Sikh, Isai. He just sees India. He sees financial services. And he sees a host of brands. Now, if you look at these, and as I said, I've chosen some brands from across the years, Some of the names are common. The name is common, the color is common, the logo is common, but there is some asterisk at the end, which I'll talk about later. What a great industry to be in, right? One of the largest spending categories in the country, been there for years. LIC has been here for more than 66 years. A mutual fund started in 1964. It's attracted some of the best brands in the world who have invested in the category, who have invested in the country, and who have invested in their brand. But the fact remains that whenever, 1991 to 2023, you talk about this industry, you will hear two words. One is it's under-penetrated. In what context? I'll explain it later. And second, this category is sold, not bought. If that's our story, let's look at the customer story. For all of you marketers, you know what these four-letter words mean. Sometimes they mean negative, four-letter word. Here, for us, it means what's in it for me. And I think over the decades that I'm speaking to you about and the decades ahead, these four letters become the most important part for any of us in this room or outside representing financial brands. If we can communicate the what's in it for me to the consumer, you have a great situation. If you don't, example. In the 1990s, I was asked by SEBI and then the early stage of AMFI, which is the Association of Mutual Funds in India, to help them with their investor education. 1990s, we were talking about the need to educate investors. 2023, guess who's the largest or one of the largest spenders in the financial services industry today? Is yet AMFI. And what's it yet doing? Investor education. So just imagine if you entered college and after 3 years you don't graduate because you have to study more. Imagine if you enter school and after 12 years you don't exit school because you've yet not learned enough. It seems to be as an industry we are spending a lot of time, effort and money investing in investor education, but we yet feel that the investor is not educated. Is it our fault? Is it his fault? Or is it just the what's in it for me factor missing? So who is this investor? Who is this customer in the BFSI space, if we want to so call it? I think it's any man on the street. I think it's any man at the railway station. It's any man at the airport. It's any man in this hotel. And what does he worry about? He has only 3 words in my mind that occupy him sote hue, jagte hue and in between. Life, zindagi, sapne. I have a life to live. I want to live my zindagi to the best and I have sapne for that. I don't know one person I've ever met who wants a car loan. I haven't even ever met one person in my life who wants a home loan. But I've met every single person in my life who wants a car and wants a home. What we don't understand is we take ourselves so seriously. I'm in the car loan business. I'm in the home loan business. Nobody wants you. You are a necessary evil. I have to take you for my dream. What a situation to be in. I have to tolerate you. I have to endure you. Is that our industry? His words around zindagi is paisa or money. To make my dreams come true, to make my sapne come true, I need paisa. I need money. Personally, I've not heard of anyone saying I need mutual funds, life insurance, health insurance, but that's a call we can take. So who needs money? There was a song when I was young. It was in a movie called Karz, and you had Rishi Kapoor dancing on a record, singing "Paisa ye paisa, kaisa ye paisa, ho to musibat, na ho musibat." Now, your generation hasn't even heard this song. Obviously, you don't know who's Rishi Kapoor, so he's Ranbir Kapoor's father. I hope you know that. Alia Bhatt's father-in-law. I hope you know that. This song, according to me, sums up the whole thing. If you have money, there's a problem. What do I do with it? If you don't have money, it's a problem. How do I source it? And therefore, I call the Indian financial services industry a 1.4 billion opportunity. And I'm happy to dispute it with anyone because everyone either has or needs money. So how can it be less than 1.4 billion opportunity? And unless all of us have 1.4 billion customers, I'm saying we haven't heard the customer enough. We haven't helped the customer enough. And as I said, I'm no longer in the financial service industry. And I put a risk factor. so I can give names. I partnered ICICI from the day the name was born. We created the logo. The BKC Bank building was not even ready. Vaidi had yet to join. Vaidyanathan, as he's called now. Right? But when you ask me ICICI, I see what we called the I-Man. But the problem is, ICICI doesn't do it that way. If some of you are from ICICI, apologies. We have ICICI Mutual Fund. It's ICICI Prudential Mutual Fund, by the way. We have ICICI Home Finance. We have ICICI Lombard General Insurance. We have ICICI Bank. We have ICICI Securities. And by the way, we have one more ICICI Prudential. Can you see the top logo on the left and the one in the center on the right? They're both ICICI Prudential. No, you got it wrong. One has to be written horizontally, one has to be written vertically. Why? Because obviously, you don't see the word below. That word below is mutual fund. I'm different. That word there is life insurance, if you can read it, by the way. But I'm different. Are we speaking consumer speak or are we speaking manufacturer speak? So mutual fund, and these are logos over the years, mutual fund से आप तरक्की करते हैं, तो that means life insurance से मैं तरक्की नहीं करूँगा, आप ही का तो है. बैंक ख्याल रखेगा मेरा, तो आपका health insurance ख्याल नहीं रखेगा मेरा. Same story, same story. It's an industry malice. I am, was, and will always remain a big fan of Kotak. Because they were the first people in my mind who thought of a monolithic brand. In our language, it's a mother brand. It's not a house of brands, it's a branded house, our language. HDFC, well, some of you will say this is dated because hasn't HDFC Limited and HDFC Bank come together? Yes, they have. Why, is my question. Real life story. I have all my relationships with HDFC because I believe one is better, simple, convenience. So I spoke to my RM some years back, and I said, I want a home loan. Will you give it to me? He said, sir, we'd love to. Gets onto a call with another colleague of his. They start talking to me. And this is 5 years back. I was not 60 years yet. So the guy starts by saying, so, Mr. Kakar, you're 60 years old, right? And I said, no, I'm not. Why are you making me old? He said, sorry. You're Dr. Kakar, right? I said, I'm not. I wish I was. At the end of the call, you know where it was going? I asked my RM, hey, what was the problem? I have all my money with you, and you know me from years. Who is Dr. Kakar and who's 60 years old? He said, sir, आप समझे नहीं ना. मैं तो HDFC बैंक का हूँ. वो HDFC Limited से है. But I said, आप दोनों HDFC से तो नहीं, sir, not true. So when they've come together today, have they come together because you marketers felt it from a customer perspective or because it made financial sense? And that's the problem with the way I see this industry. All of you should run this industry, if you ask me, because you represent the consumer, the voice of the customer. No one this side should run this industry because they are all manufacturer speak. Take it compound. HDFC is an example. Each of them have their own websites, each of them have their branches, each of them have their phone numbers, each of them have their agents, and each of them have confusion. Because in my mind, all of them are HDFC. That's why I believe 100%, 1.4 billion Indian opportunity for this industry that you represent is what I call a 5% industry. Under-penetrated. At one time, mutual funds were 5% penetration. I always love to stay with that number because it tells you 95 people who should be in this industry are not in this industry. Another very important point for all of you to remember. Any of you are from the mutual fund industry? Any of you? No. Then you can't catch me if I'm wrong. If I'm not wrong, the AUM of this industry, the assets under management, are over 375,000 crores. If you know how many zeros are there, good for you, I don't. 375,000 crores because somebody invested once in a mutual fund. Now just imagine if you believe a mutual fund, you understand a mutual fund, you will come back every month. And if you do, guess what? This industry can grow 12 times because 12 months in a year, right? That's the power that all of you in this room yield. And that's the power that we have to harness. So looking back and looking forward, just points that I have for you all to ponder. We all must talk Steve Jobs because it's a marketing forum, but I believe it's so relevant to the financial services industry. Don't wait to listen for the customer to ask for something. You are a customer, your friend is a customer of money, anticipate. Did anyone ever say he wanted an ATM machine? Nobody did. Somebody thought that you're on the move, you need money on the move. Hey, let me create a machine which can give you money anytime. This 5%. I think all of you are in the worst industry ever possible at marketeers. All of you should quit financial services industry today as marketeers. If you believe, वो रिस्क फैक्टर वाली इंडस्ट्री है, इसमें तो कोई क्रिएटिविटी तो है ही नहीं. इसमें क्या है यार, statutory, the bloody compliance guy sits on me and doesn't allow me to do left, right or center. Then quit this place. It's a marketer's nightmare. But if you say, I want to move that 5%, I told you 3,75,000 crore, by even a 0.25%, if you want to guess how many zeros are, you will be a marketer's opportunity for a lifetime. You will get a lifetime achievement award by the marketing forum anywhere in the world. If you all know of an award called the FEs, which is for effectiveness, this industry can earn FEs every day of its life. If you make that meter move even by a fraction. To do all of this, my views. Unfortunately, we all start like I started at the beginning. I'm a mutual fund category. I'm a life insurance category. I'm a banking category. That's our speak. Customer first speak, we talked is. So when tomorrow somebody asks you which business are you in, do you want to say BFSI, mutual fund, life insurance, blah, 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 or do you want to say I'm in the business of money? I'm in the business of consumer language and that is money. I believe today we are a Crocin ka doctor, and let me explain it to you. If I have a headache, I go to a doctor, he gives me a Crocin, it gets cured, right? Tomorrow I have a pain in the elbow, I go to the doctor, he gives me a Crocin, it's cured, maybe. The day after I have a problem with my kidney, I go to the doctor, he gives me Crocin. What chance is it going to be cured? So therefore, I call that doctor a quack. I'm sorry to say our industry today, if we go the route of being mutual fund, life insurance, health insurance, we're all quacks. Because if you sell a mutual fund, can you sell any other product but a mutual fund? So therefore, the customer, whatever his need, you won't even ask him what's his need. You'll start with, sir, mutual fund le lijiye, bahut bacha hai. You're a quack. Only if you start with and dare to ask, may I ask you, what's your need? And you can do that only if you represent the category money. Because you can't ask about money and end up only giving a mutual fund. जो भी आपकी बीमारी है, मैं समझ गया, पर लो तो Crocin ही. If any of you been to Lonavala and you all have heard of Maganlal Chikki, when I used to go as a youngster, there used to be one shop, Maganlal Chikki. Everyone loved it. Today, if you've gone to Lonavala, every second shop is a Maganlal Chikki. Which is the original Maganlal Chikki? If any of you have the answer, please tell me. So when I see ICICI Prudential X, ICICI Prudential Y, ICICI Bank, ICICI X coming to me, I wonder who is original and who is fake. Because why don't you all just come to me as ICICI, yaar? And I'm giving ICICI just an example. Risk factor, caveat. And therefore, if you have a single money brand for your lifetime, and that's what we did at Aditya Birla Capital, we dared to undo all that we had done ourselves as our go-to-market strategy and the industry for 100 years. And we created one brand, Aditya Birla Capital. That's only one brand for all your financial needs. Only one website, only one helpline, only one name for you to remember. Then what is the advantage? You don't look at customer. You look at customers. You look at the distributors. You look at influencers. And you look at customer lifetime value. You can catch that same person for one business and help him across his lifetime need. Your acquisition cost is one time. Your revenue is lifetime. Another mistake our industry does is financial services brand ऐसे ही बनता है ना, ad बना दो. And then what happens? In good times we advertise, bad times we don't advertise. My view is either advertise and stay, like Vaidyanathan said, visible throughout, or else don't. But more important, if you ask me, brand is not about advertising. So this is the next question we all have faced, right? Should we be high tech or high touch? Or let's be phygital, both. I disagree. Because what you do is your problem. तुम भेलपुरी बना रहे हो, मुझे तो भेल खाना है ना. मुझे आम से मतलब गुटली से क्या लेना देना? You use your technology. You do whatever you want at the back end. You just give me experiences, memorable experiences, simple experiences, distinct experiences. And I'll remember you for a lifetime. And I'll come back for more. Data and analytics, another big buzzword in our industry. I don't know what is data and I don't know what's analytics. And I don't want you to anyway bloody keep coming back to me with 100 SMSs, right? You use it at the back end, just personalize it for me, and I'm saying, wow, I don't need to say that it was because of data and analytics. But for us in our boardrooms, we have to tick and say data and analytics and big data, right? Well, as I said, whose hat are we waiting? Vaidyanathan said very well, it's all about get new customers, get new customers, get new customers. This is the only industry, if you ask me, which can retain customers, like I said earlier, from cradle to grave. And therefore, acquisition and retention is as important, if not repeat business, and last but not the least, advocacy. Again, something Dr. Batra and Vaidyanathan touched about. I want to leave this thought with you. I have 3 slides more, but this is the thought I want to leave you with. Tomorrow, it's not going to be about BFSI, banking, mutual fund, life insurance, or money. Tomorrow, the players are going to be banks, FS conglomerates, standalone companies, and fintech companies, my view. But if you ask me what was the birth of fintechs, it was the failure of banks. Because customers in financial services only trust and then consume. And nobody can get more trust than banks. And if you trust a bank and it was nimble and it wasn't an elephant, everyone would be with a bank. The point is fintechs are nimble. Fintechs start with the customer. Fintechs start with a proposition. But they don't have trust. So therefore, it's for all of us in this industry, and not as marketers, but as an industry to decide what do we want to be. If the bank becomes a fintech, amazing. If a fintech can become a bank, it takes more time, amazing. Standalone competition, we can debate that. If you're a one-stop shop, well, that has my vote. This is what all of you as marketers, as voice of customer, antenna, have to speak to your managements, your boardrooms, and your brands. So who is true competition? Again, touched out there. According to me, these are your competition. I'll tell you why. Not because Geo or da, da, da. These guys know your data from day one. They can so sharply focus, they know why you buy a movie or hire a movie or buy a car or buy a cigarette or whatever you buy, and they can predict what you will buy next, including money. And it's not about today. I've been tracking clips for last 10 years. None of us have seen these warning bells that these guys, the technology giants, the data giants, are going to come and take the mickey out of the financial service industry. And we may not. In the meantime, what do? I call it RKM. We do roti, kapda, or makan advertising. All of them look the same. All of them sound the same. Which category we don't know, and therefore we don't answer the most important question, why me? You want to be a mutual fund, tell me why you. You want to be a life insurance, tell me why you. You want to be a bank, tell me why you. WIFM, which I talked about. Take your pick. We call it the financial services industry. Unfortunately, we are more finance, less service. The day we become a service industry and we compare ourselves to a hospitality industry, we are talking. And beware of this. Because you know as a consumer, the minute you see this, you start wondering, where's the fine print? If we can do without it as an industry, we'll be a better place. Debate CMO, CTO, CFO, I won't get into that. There's no end to this debate. But I think पहले CMO बन जाओ, बहुत हो गया. CTO बनते बनते जिंदगी निकल जाएगी क्योंकि CTO birth से है वो, CFO वो birth से है. Just give me 1 minute more. Last point. There is so much pressure on us. You're not about marketing, you're about performance marketing. My request is stay out of performance marketing. Performance marketing, do not build brand. It's about sales. It's not about marketing. Last slide, as I said. All of you here and all of you outside this room, dekhe zara kisme hai kitna hai dam. Move that meter by a millimeter and you get an Oscars and an Effie award for a lifetime. Thank you so much.